Do you like my cup? Hello. Welcome to another episode of I Couldn't Finish a Book because it was bad. Obviously, this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but here we are. So today the book is The Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Moldovisky. I have no idea if I said that right. So sorry. I got that far through and then I got bored. The writing isn't terrible. Like, it's okay. But it's just a boring story. I feel like it very much should have been a novella as opposed to a full-blown book. There's a lot of filler. I got to page 181. Honestly, I feel like this could have been a 100-page story start to finish. Because it's a cool concept. And I did look up the ending. We are going to go over it. Spoilers, obviously. If you don't want to know it, then I'm sorry, but this is going to be spoilers. It's a cool concept. I feel like it's very much a short story concept as opposed to a full novel concept. So, the Mary Shelley Club. Let me read you the back to begin. New girl Rachel Chavez is eager to make a fresh start at Manchester Prep, but as a scholarship student, she struggles to fit in among the rich kids and finds herself turning to horror movies for comfort. Somehow, the stabby serial killers and homicidal dolls seem less scary than bored trust fund babies. When Rachel gets caught up in a prank gone awry, going from weird loner girl to public enemy #1 overnight, to Rachel's surprise, however, the incident attracts the attention of the Mary Shelley Club, a mysterious society of students who orchestrate elaborate pranks known as fear tests, which are inspired by urban legends and movie tropes. At first, Rachel embraces the power that comes with behaving recklessly, but as the fear tests escalate, the competition turns deadly and takes on a life of its own. When someone begins targeting the club itself, Rachel has to track down the killer, even if it means finally confronting the dark secrets of her past. In this deliciously darkly funny novel, don't like that, New York Times bestselling author Goldie, I don't know how to say her last name, exposes the horrors of high school with the precision of a freshly sharpened knife. So, high school horror could be very good, very bad, as like a trope. But this was another one of the, when you go to Barnes & Noble, they usually have like a $5 book at the cafe that you can get for $5 with a purchase of a drink. So that's what I got. This was the second one I got and the last one that I will be getting, because the first one was nothing but Blackened Teeth. My review is already up about that one. And then this one is in the same boat. Couldn't finish it. It was not good. But I'm only out $5. So I got to about halfway through before I just got bored and looked up the ending. So let me give you a gist, and then we will gonna look up the Goodreads review, my Goodreads review, and I will tell you guys how it ends so that you can know as well. So it starts out with this main girl, Rachel, and the very beginning of the book is she's in a home invasion alone. There's like a dude and I think his buddy maybe, but she sees one guy specifically who's like basically casing her house. He doesn't know that she's home because there's like a car in the driveway, her mom's somewhere, and he breaks in. She comes downstairs, freaks out, and then it jumps to a year later. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what happened because it's very anticlimactic. You don't find out until later when she admits it, but she basically kills the guy in self-defense and then doesn't react to that well. It very much traumatizes her. More on that in a second. So it cuts to like a year later. She's been through like trauma counseling and a bunch of stuff. She's cleared of like all charges. Like, she's not in any legal trouble or anything. It was completely in self-defense. Her and her mom moved to, I don't know specifically where they were living beforehand, but they moved to somewhere in New York. And she starts going to a private school for rich kids that her mom teaches at or does something for, which is how she can afford to go there. So she starts going to this private school with all these rich kids, and she's this weird horror girl because she started finding comfort in horror movies, like traumatizing horror movies, which I guess was sort of like a she can understand how they're feeling sort of thing. So she started getting really into horror movies. She was the weird girl at school, she was the poor girl at school, and wasn't really fitting in well, wasn't really making friends, wasn't really mentally doing well. And then randomly she decided to go to a party that someone was throwing at a abandoned house that they were gonna get torn down, something or another, rich kid something. And at the party, they start playing Ouija board, which is, hate that. Anyway, they start doing Ouija stuff and like just creepy stuff in general. And she is obviously interested in it because she knows a lot about it, and she's the only one there, supposedly, who knows a lot about it. And then the most popular girl in the school is there, and she's the one that's being targeted by the ghost. And basically they get her so riled up and freaked out by like haunting-ish stuff that's going on that she thinks something's on her. She starts pulling out her hair, and come to find out her hair is extensions, which, you know, for a high schooler, someone finding that out is just like the worst thing ever. And so everyone's shocked. And then the main girl just laughs, which, to be fair, I would probably laugh too. That shit's kind of funny. And then she notices, while she's laughing, that there's a dude who is expressionless watching her, like, across the way. And so, come to find out, that guy is part of this club called the Mary Shelley Club. And he basically invites her to be initiated and tells her that, like, they do these fear tests. That's what they call them. They're basically just like super cruel pranks on people who deserve it. Just like popular dickheads who need to be taken down a peg, pretty much. So they aren't doing like life-threatening things. It's like stuff that will ruin your high school career, you know? Like finding out your hair is extensions, like ruin your high school career, not your like adult life. So after that, they invite her to join. She agrees, but she has to go through initiation. Her initiation is she gets kidnapped on a random alley and taken to a place she doesn't know by the people in the group, which was a lot. And come to find out, they knew what she had done and they needed her to admit it. Or like some people had started to buzz around that she was in a court case about a boy who got killed. And basically they told her to admit like the worst thing she's ever done. And so she admitted that during the home invasion, she ran to the kitchen to get a knife, and the boy followed her into the kitchen and wrestled her to the ground, and she basically stabbed him in the fight in the heart, like killed him. And it really fucked with her, and she coped with it by mercilessly stalking his social media and learning everything she possibly could about him, which is weird, frankly. Just obviously I've never been in that position, but she would like look at his social media while she was at school, and to the point where people would see her looking at it and think that this was like her boyfriend who went to a different school. Like, it was weird. It was weird. I didn't like it. Every time that like she brought it up that she was looking at his page, I was like, what are you doing, girl? Like, don't like it. Basically survivor guilt of like, she took the life of a boy. Like, apparently he went to her school. She just didn't know him, and survivor guilt something. And she felt really bad for taking his life, even though he was threatening hers. But it was weird. Looking at the dead boy's social media at school was really weird. But she admits to it. She tells him the whole spiel and like cries. And so they let her in, and basically what they do is hang out at one of the boys' houses, who is actually the boyfriend of the girl with the extensions, which is like the tea, because what are you doing? You were like two-faced as fuck. My God. All they do is go to his house and watch horror movies. Like, that's it. That's what they do. And then they'll like plan a new prank, and they do like a couple pranks a year. And apparently this has been like a tradition at the school for like years and years and years and years, and it keeps getting inherited by like the new people. And basically all of them need to complete a prank on someone, and they all have to participate in executing said prank. And so the only other prank I read through was one of the like big douchey jock boys they found out was terrified of clowns. And they know that because one of the group members used to go to elementary school with him, and there was like a clown at a birthday party and he peed his pants. So they figured he was still afraid of clowns, and so he had a party at his house, and they got everyone organized to basically have one of them dress up as a clown and attack him. Not like hurt him, but like attack him to freak him out enough to piss his pants at the party, which he did in front of everyone. And that was like their cruel prank, you know. And then that was about as far as I read, because between the like big things happening, like the pranks, the home invasion, the initiation ceremony, there's so much just dead space filler of them watching a horror movie, discussing a horror movie. Like, you can tell the author is very into that, which is fine and cool, but like, if the book's not about that, then why are you spending so much time on it? She keeps talking about like teenagers just hanging out and being friends. Like, that's not something you need to include in your book. That's what I mean by like, this should have been a novella instead of a novel. And that's why I got so bored. There's so much filler that I just skipped to the end and looked up a summary. That's as far as I got. Let's look up the summary. This doesn't have a Wikipedia either. I'm getting tired of books not having their like Wikipedia-ass synopsises. Oh, I did forget to tell you one thing that happened. Rachel tried to shank the mean girl with scissors in art class. That was funny to me. I did find that amusing. She just like pissed her off enough that all of a sudden she just like took scissors and like did this thing. And obviously the mean girl like freaked out, but I thought that was funny, because how many times do you just want to just threaten people in high school? God, people suck. Teenagers are the worst. I'm on Fictional Hangover. This is their review, and it's very in-depth, and I appreciate them very much. Let me skip to the end. Okay, so if you want an in-depth review, look up the Fictional Hangover review of the Mary Shelley Club, because it's very good. Love it. Very in-depth. But I was reading this because I needed to know. I knew there was a twist ending, but I wanted to specify what the twist ending was before I like told you guys something wrong. So basically, the main girl starts getting suspicious of the other members because she starts seeing these masks that weren't planned in their fear test. A mask similar to the mask that the guys were wearing when they broke into her house. And she starts getting suspicious of everyone in the club, including the nice guy Freddie, who brought her in there, and the popular boy Bram, who exists, the boyfriend of the girl with the extensions, right? And so she starts getting very wary of them, and basically people start getting hurt in their fear test. And people start getting stabbed. She finds out that one of her actual friends, who's not in the club, is the next target for whatever reason. That wasn't, at least in the review, that wasn't really specified. And she tried to get her out of it. It didn't work. They wore the same mask, even though there wasn't a plan for the mask, to the test. And the girl ends up dying by falling through a skylight from her roof, which was supposedly not the intention. So then she thinks that Bram, popular boy, is the one that's taking it too far. He wants to actually murder. And then come to find out, she is the next victim of the fear test, and that's, according to them, what she was there for all along, and that they were planting the mask to make her freak out about her home invasion story. And so she meets with them in Central Park one night because she thinks that they're going up against Bram, and turns out, so she meets with a different guy who's also a part of it, Thayer, and they're like in Central Park, and then someone comes up and shanks him, stabs him in the back with a knife. And that she is like wearing a mask, takes the mask off. It's one of the members of the society who just like actually stabbed him and actually killed him, because basically he found out that they were trying to hurt people and was gonna rat, and so they needed to silence him. So then she runs for it, because now she thinks this girl is the main killer, runs for it to the nice guy Freddy's car. He has the mask. He tries to take her and hurt her. He's the actual killer. And they're like, yeah, you thought it was Bram. You were wrong. He was in on it though. But I'm here to like do the do. And also, your home invasion was just another fear test, because there's chapters of the Mary Shelley Club all over the country. That's why we know about the masks that they wore, and that's why we know there were multiple people there. So congratulations, full circle. Fuck you. She makes another run for it, finds Bram, and she's like, are you gonna kill me too? Basically. And Freddy comes up, tries to stab her, Bram gets in front of her, actually gets stabbed, and then she apparently runs home. Questionable. So Freddy gets killed, the actual killer gets killed. The other two boys who got stabbed did live, so I guess they didn't stab them good enough. And the main girl goes to visit Bram to find out if she was really in on it. He was, but he didn't want to take it that far. Questionable. Jesus Christ. And he tells her that the reason that girl died, that was her friend, by falling off the roof, is because she was on the roof and they gave her drugs to get her, you know, loopy. And then she fell through a skylight because she was drugged. Fell. And that's how she died. So it's all a big circle. The fear people were always targeting her for whatever reason. At least this doesn't say why she was targeted originally, because she said, at least from what I read, she didn't know the boy. Anyway, but that's the end. Again, all the action is very interesting, but it could have happened in 100 pages. Just skip all the middle shit about like being a teenager, fitting in, whatever the fuck. Like, do the full circle. Like, this club is like fucking with her life. Like, focus on that and it would be so good. But all of the middle shit I couldn't get through. And also, I did not know this, but apparently the book was also published under the title The Last Girl, and I don't really know the story behind that, but it was also published as that. So The Last Girl is also this, if you're wondering. And apparently there's two different endings. They're basically the same but slightly different. So The Last Girl ending is after Bram falls asleep, Rachel leaves the hospital. She's no longer scared. She played the game and came out on the other side, no longer afraid. She feels empowered, no fear, no mask. I don't like that ending. I don't. I won. I'm empowered. Don't use the word. Like, when you put in the word empowered, I'm like, it's a horror novel. Stop. So then the Mary Shelley Club ending is, as Rachel walked away from the hospital, something is bothering her. There were two people in the house that night. Who was the other person? Was the rest of the Mary Shelley Club there watching? Is someone watching her now? It feels that way. I like that ending better, because that ending's more realistic. Clearly she's being watched. Clearly. In this way she's more self-aware. She's not, empowered because she made it out of a horror movie scenario, you know? But see how that summary is like interesting? The book isn't. And that's the problem. Like, just edit the shit out of the book to where it's only the interesting parts. Like, it's home invasion, fear test, fear test, fear test, murder. Like, just do it like that and it would be so much cooler. Like, you don't need this like cool down. You need the action and the like full circleness of it. So that one, I'm pretty sure I gave 2 stars. Let's go to Goodreads. Okay, yep, 2 stars. So on Goodreads, my review says, a somewhat interesting concept with poor execution. I got halfway through just waiting for the plot to finally hook me and it never did. The long periods where nothing happens really made me lose interest in the overall story. It's very underwhelming as far as plot and writing. The author also likes to have something happen and then immediately restate it. Like, the characters discuss a movie that they watched and then the author will restate that the group of teenagers are just hanging out watching a movie. It reads as self-edited, whether it actually is or not, and that's another deterrent to finishing the book. This is one of those $5 books at Barnes & Noble. I understand why it wasn't full price. And that was another thing I wanted to touch on. She does restate things, and that's what gives it the self-edited vibe, which I guess it's not, since it's like, what publishing house is it from? It's from Square Fish, so like I assume it's not self-edited. But the restating things that just happened, it's like when you're like, they watch a movie, she explicitly talks about how they all react to like the movie and whatever as it's happening, and then the next paragraph will be, and this is how the teenagers are hanging out, just watching a movie, just having fun carelessly, like whatever. And it's like, we don't need that. There's a lot of just like commentary that we don't need. So basically, my qualms are not with the book itself, they're with the editing. Because I think it should have been edited down to a novella, and I think her writing should have been much more heavily edited. I think she has something good, and that it just wasn't executed well. So 2 stars. Let's see what the overall on Goodreads is. So she's got a 3.92 average, 2,100 reviews. The most common star is 4 stars. Very few 1-star or 2-star reviews. I mean, that's okay. I wish it was better because it could have been better. This book very muchly disappointed me. And usually books I can't finish irk me. This one was really more so like disappointing. So, let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you hate my opinions? Am I right? Am I wrong? Your experience with the book, if you have any, or with something else that she's written, because I haven't read anything else that she's written. I don't super plan to be very honest. But that's all for me. See you guys next time. Bye.